الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إنا أعطيناك الكوثر فصل لربك وانحر إن شانئك هو الأبتر. الله سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سمع الله لمن حمده. الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. الله أكبر. الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. الله أكبر. حول الله وقوته وقوته. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب. الله سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سمع الله لمن حمده. الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. الله أكبر. الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. الله أكبر. بسم الله الرحمن الحمد لله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. بحول الله وقوته فقولوا الله سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله. الله أكبر. الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. اللهم صل على محمد وآل يا ربي يا حنان الكريم. الله بسم الله الرحمن الحمد لله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. اللهم صل على محمد وآل يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
تسبیحات حضرت زهرا علیه السلام. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم إني أسألك موجبات رحمتك وعزائم مغفرتك والنجاة من النار ومن كل بلية والفوز بالجنة والرضوان في دار السلام وجوار نبيك محمد عليه وآله السلام. اللهم ما بنا من نعمة فمنك لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك بحق محمد وآل محمد صلوات.
الله. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما زهراء عليه السلام. اللهم إنه ليس لي علم بموضع رزقي وإنما أطلبه بخطرات تخطر على قلبي فأجول في طلبه البلدان فأنا فيما أنا طالب كالحيران لا أدري أفي سهل هو أم في جبال أم في أرض أم في السماء أم في البر أم في بحر وعلى يدي من ومن قبل من وقد علمت أن علمه عندك وأسبابه بيدك وأنت الذي تقسمه بلطفك وتسببه برحمتك اللهم فصل على محمد وآله واجعل يا رب رزقك تعنني بطلب ما لم تقدر لي فيه رزقا، فإنك غني عن عذابي، وأنا فقير إلى رحمتك، فصل على محمد وآله، واجعل على عبدك بفضلك، إنك ذو فضل عظيم، بحق محمد وأهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين. صلوات Please also remember those who are in not a physical, also emotional discomfort. We have a few that are ill. Please have them in your doors. And please recite a salawat for their health.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My dear brothers and sisters, my condolences to the nation of the Islam of the world, in particular the followers of Ahlul Bayt. Before I continue, let me just go ahead and humbly ask my dear brothers and sisters to please go ahead and find you a chair and be seated. And also, I'm going to announce this twice now and at the end before I invite our dear Shayan to recite the Holy Quran for us tonight. If you have children, please, if you have children, they have to be right next to you and very quiet. Last night, it was something happened in the back and I saw kids were running around very loud. So please help us to have a quiet place for all of us to benefit. We would love to see your children next to you, because I truly believe what we learn, what we are right now is because of our mothers, our fathers brought us to these kind of sessions when we were a very small child. It is extremely important, but if they cannot be under your control, please send them upstairs. We have a teacher up there, and send them upstairs so we can have a quiet area. I know there are people come from very far ways, and we want to make sure that they benefit from the program. Our programs is going to be continued until tomorrow night. We have our last Fatimiyya night. It's going to be tomorrow night, inshallah. And we would like to invite all of you again, and please and I would like to ask all of you to please invite all your friends, relatives, neighbors. Doesn't matter if they're Muslims or non-Muslims, we welcome everybody here for these kind of programs. And we need your support for these nights as well as the nights to come, inshallah. Please see me if you want to support by anything you can give. It doesn't have to be a lot. Whatever you can do for these kind of sessions is definitely appreciated by the masjid itself, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will thank you for that. Again, welcome everybody. And tomorrow night, as I said, it's going to be our last night. And tomorrow night is probably, can't say more important than this tonight and last night, but tomorrow night is going to fall the Laylat al-Wafat or Laylat al-Shahada. Tomorrow night is going to be the night of Shahada of Fatima al-Zahra, because Fatima al-Zahra, according to the calendar, she passed away on Tuesday. It was going to fall on Tuesday, this Tuesday. And inshallah, we would like to see you all for the night of Shahada of Fatima al-Zahra alayhi salam. At this moment, I would like to invite our dear Shayan with his beautiful voice to recite a few verses of Holy Quran with the salawat.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا نساء النبي لستن كأحد من النساء إن اتقيتن فلا تخضعن بالقول فيطمع الذي في قلبه مرض وقلن قولا معروفا وقرن في بيوتكن ولا تبرجن تبرج الجاهلية الأولى وأقمنا الصلاة وآتينا الزكاة وأطعنا الله ورسوله إنما يريد الله ليذهب عنكم الرجس أهل البيت ويطهركم تطهيرا الرجس أهل البيت ويطهركم تطهيرا واذكرن ما يتلى في بيوتكن من آيات الله والحكمة إن الله كان لطيفا خبيرا إن المسلمين والمسلمات والمؤمنين والمؤمنات والقانتين والقانتات والصادقين والصادقات والصابرين والصابرات والخاشعين والخاشعات والمتصدقين والمتصدقات والصائمين والصائمات والحافظين فروجهم والحافظات والذاكرين الله كثيرا والذاكرات أعد الله لهم مغفرة وأجرا عظيما صدق الله العلي العظيم.
Thank you very much, Shayan. May Allah protect you and bless you, inshallah. For his health, please recite the last salawat. Thank you so much. May Allah protect you and your honorable family, especially your parents. Before I invite our honorable guest for tonight's speech, I would like to again remind everybody to please, if you have small children, make sure they are seated with you and they are under your complete control and not running around. They really, we love them. Especially me, I love children. But when the program is there, it will distract the speaker as well as these people who are going to be, doing the Latmiya or Sinizani and things like that. So thank you very much for cooperation. And let's go ahead and invite our honorable guest, جناب آقای عباس رضویان. بله. یه صلواتی با همراهی صلواتشون دعوت میکنه به پودیوم.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا ومولانا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين ولعنة الله على أعدائهم إلى يوم الدين. Yesterday we were talking about understanding Sayyidah Fatima Salamullah alayha from the narrations of the Ahlul Bayt. And we said that one of the best ways and the most detailed ways to understand her is to learn from the narrations. We mentioned that she was a light, nur, just like the other members of the Ahlul Bayt before being brought to this world. And that Allah has given us great favor to bring her to this world for us. And that her name is Fatima because she separates her Shias, her true followers, from the hellfire. And she is Az-Zahra because when she prays, the world becomes full of light. We talked about some of the decisions she made and some of the choices she had. And we said that she chose the akhirat over the dunya. She chose the hereafter over the world. She chose the madloom, the oppressed, over the oppressor. And these are key lessons for us to learn in our life, that we have to look and engage and see that are we actually Fatimi or not? Because many of us, we come to majalis and we come to pay our respect, to cry. But what is more important than this is to be able to change ourselves, to implement the life lessons of Sayyidah Fatima Salamullah alayha and to become Fatimi. Tonight we're going to talk about some of the passages and parts of the speech of Fadakiyya. The khutbah Fadakiyya is a khutbah that's narrated in different sources. Not only in Shia sources and some Sunni sources, the khutbah is mentioned. In one of the older books of Balaghat al-Nisa, it is a book that has compiled the speech of women and has compiled the speech of Sayyidah Fatima Salamullah alayha, has compiled the speech of Lady Zainab Salamullah alayha. Besides this book, the book of Ihtijaj of Tabarsi, Shaykh Mufid, Shaykh Saduq, they mention the khutbah of Fadakiyya. A khutbah that is maybe unparalleled, that uses over 20 verses of the Holy Quran. A khutbah that in terms of balaghat and eloquence, some say is equal to Nahjul Balagha. And at a time period where Sayyidah Fatima her rights are being taken. And the reason it's called Fadak is because Fadak is a garden. It is a vast garden that was a huge economic resource. Later on, armies were funded by Fadak. But is Fadak in its monetary value what she fought for? Or was Fadak an example of oppression that happened to her and it was used to expose those that opposed the wilayat of Imam Ali alayhi salam? So Fadak was a tool that she used. Because as you see, the oppression that happened, and this is right after the Prophet of Islam has passed away, is much different than maybe the oppression of the Umayyads or the Abbasids that came later. Some of them, they attacked Mecca, they had catapults, they destroyed the Kaaba, they murdered many people. But the oppression that happened at the beginning was something that was not very, very clear for everybody, especially for the people of Medina. They knew that Imam Ali was true, the Imam, but there wasn't dhulm in that way that people were dying and murdering and stealing and robbing. So her task was much more difficult. It takes somebody that had basira, somebody that wanted to follow the line of Imam Ali, that understood Ghadir, that understood the narrations about Imam Ali, for them to stand up. It was not as if everybody's rights were taken. So the people of Medina, of course, we have traditions or some of the verses that nifaq was in Mecca and hypocrisy was also in Medina. But Medina had more hypocrisy in it. But it wasn't as clear as Ashura of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, for example. When you have Yazid that is drinking alcohol, which is not necessarily, fulfilling all the rights that a Muslim should be doing. But in this time, you see those that are claiming to be the rulers, they are praying, they are fasting, they're taking care of the apparent wajibats. So it was a very difficult test if you compare the Fatimiyya to Ashura. It wasn't as clear for some of them. Even though hadith, of course, of Ghadir and the wilayah of Imam Ali was very clear. But when you compare a person that is his outward exterior is full of salat, maybe a long beard, and pretending to be a very pious person, it's much more difficult. So what she had to do was much more difficult than the revolution of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, where he had a clear enemy that would drink alcohol. So from Khutbah Fadakiyah, we learn different lessons. And one is that when she comes and talks about Fadak, I'm going to read tonight some of the lines from what she has said. She says, "Thus usurp it, Fadak, and fasten it firmly, for it is weak and feeble, while its shame and disgrace will always remain over you. The sign of the rage of the Supreme God has been cast upon it, and it will be an everlasting disgrace upon you, and it will lead you to the fire of God." So you see a very strong talk and speech by Sayyidah Fatima Salamullah alayha. And as she comes, she enters, she is surrounded with many of women. And in some of the hadith, it says, "Lathat khimaraha ala ra'siha." She had a khimar, a long scarf. وَاشْتَمَلَتْ بِجِلْبَابِهَا. She also had a very long shirt that it says it would go all the way down. وَأَقْبَلَتْ فِي لُمَةٍ مِّنْ حَفَدَتِهَا وَنِسَاءِ قَوْمِهَا. And a group of women were taking protection of her so that she would not be seen. So this is the way that Lady Fatima, after hearing that Fadak has been taken, she enters the masjid. So we have three types of hijab. The hijab that's covering her hair or face, and the hijab that's covering her body, and women surrounding her. May we be sacrificed for Lady Zainab Salamullah alayha. That is, Ayatollah Maqani says, he says that nobody saw Lady Zainab in his Rijal, nobody saw Lady Zainab until the day of Taf, the day of Karbala. That is when they saw Lady Zainab Salamullah alayha. So Lady Fatima comes in this status and begins to speak. She heaves a very sorrowful sigh from her scorched and aggrieved heart and begins to give a speech about Tawheed and the oneness of God, and begins to attack those that had taken the rights of Imam Ali. Please recite salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Some of the lines that she says, she exposes their hypocrisy and says, "Thus when Allah the Almighty exalted His Prophet from His perishable world towards the abode of the prophets, and has chosen His chosen ones, the thorns of hypocrisy became manifest in you." So she says in Arabic, بِظَهَرَ فِيكُمْ حَسَكَةُ النِّفَاقِ. She says the thorns of hypocrisy after the Prophet has died has come out. وَالسَّمَلَ جِلْبَابِ. Jilbab is the same as I said, a long Arabic dress. وَالسَّمَلَ جِلْبَابُ الدِّينِ. And the mantle of your religion gave in. So she begins to expose the hypocrites at that time. And she begins to defend Imam Ali. We learn many different things from the stands of Lady Fatima, and tonight we ask Allah to make us more, inshallah, step towards more being Fatimi. One is she is teaching us, and she is telling the people to not be a munafiq, not to be a hypocrite. Some of the traditions we have from the Prophet of Islam, a hypocrite has three qualities. One is a hypocrite. There are three signs of a hypocrite. One, even if he fasts and prays, that he is, even if he says he's a Muslim, that when he is trusted, he is dishonest. How do you know if this person is a hypocrite or not, or how do we know if we have nifaq in us or not? We say that if somebody trusts you with something, when somebody trusts you, you betray that trust. Somebody gives you money, somebody gives you something to take care of, It might not only be monetary. They give you something as a trust, and you take it and steal it. Unfortunately, many times people, especially when they travel, and they think that everybody, oh, you're a good Muslim, mashallah, you pray, you salat. They trust them with their money, they trust them with their business, and they say, oh no, I cannot trust these people. So this is a call for us that when she is attacking the hypocrites, when she is attacking those that have nifaq, what about us? Do we have nifaq in us or not? 2, the munafiq, when he talks, he lies. And we have to realize ourselves how truthful is our speech. When we talk about where we are right now, and you're driving, are you really, say, on the 57 freeway, and you're very close? Or you kind of exaggerate and say, no, I'm here. So lying and exaggerating and not telling the truth, again, is a sign of hypocrisy. 3, when a person breaks his promise, that is another sign of hypocrisy. You promise somebody something very important, they know you think that you'll come through, but you don't. So these are signs of munafiqs that we as a society have to be led into sincerity. Ayatollah Sayyid Muhammad Taqi Khansari was a great mujtahid and marja. He lived maybe around 50, 70 years ago. They asked him, he was actually one of the mujtahideen that when the British came to Iraq and the Iraqis wanted to defend themselves, they gave a fatwa to defend themselves, and he actually went to defend. And he was a mujtahid that was defending. And he was actually caught in battle and sent to the Far East. There they wanted him to translate books, but he would refuse. Later on, he comes to Qom and becomes the supreme Ayatollah in Marja Mujtahid, Ayatollah Muhammad Taqi Khansari. And because there was a drought in Iran, they asked him to do salat for rain. And he said, there's a salat that you go together outside and you pray for rain. When he went, he began to pray. Suddenly later on a storm came in Qom, and some say that there's a river that crosses the city of Qom, became full all the way from his salat. And they asked him, what did you do? And it says people from BBC News back then were there. And they asked him, what did you do? If your prayers are mustajab, if your prayers are answered, pray for world peace, they asked him. And then the followers asked him, well, how did you do this? And he said something very interesting, and this is related to what we're talking about sincerity. He says that actually when I went to do this salat, I went to lead the salat, I thought that it would not rain. And I went out with the intention that it would not rain, and in front of everybody I would become embarrassed. Because my nafs and my my soul has become very arrogant. I wanted to teach myself a lesson. So he went out as a marja mujtahid and did salat so that everybody would think, oh, he's just a normal person. And then Allah gave him honor. So when you go towards the path of sincerity, Allah will raise you in ranks. But when you go towards the path of nifaq, and hypocrisy, Allah will make you dhaleel and make you humiliated. Some ask in the Quran, so we said the last thing is he makes a promise and he doesn't fulfill it. One of the promises we have is to obey Allah, not to follow shaitan. This is in the Quran. That we should follow Allah and not to follow the steps of shaitan. A person comes to Imam Sadiq alayhi salam and asks him an important question. He says, doesn't the Quran say, whoever calls me, I will answer? He says, وَقَالَ رَبُّكَ أَدْعُونِي أَسْتَجِبْ لَكُمْ. How come my prayers are not answered? And this is an important question for us. How come when I pray towards God, it is not answered? Then Imam Sadiq says, this verse 2, he says, وَأَوْفِي بِعَهْدِي أَوْفِي بِعَهْدِكُمْ. And if you fulfill your covenant with me, I shall fulfill my covenant with you. Meaning that when we have a pact with Allah and we want our prayers to be answered, Allah says in the Quran, if you listen to what I said, I will listen to you. It's not in the way that whatever we do dua, He has to listen to. And those that we look, that have lived a life of taqwa, those that have followed Allah's commands, you see when they do dua, it's not necessarily very long. It's sometimes short, but because they have listened to Allah, Allah listens to them. And they do one short dua and it's answered. I'm not saying not to do dua, but these are signs that we see the path of sincerity versus the path of hypocrisy. And khutbah fadakiyah is a speech that is exposing those that are hypocrites. Another lesson we learned from khutbah fadakiyah is that during that time, as we said, people thought that, okay, maybe if Imam Ali alayhi salam, then people of Medina, if Imam Ali is left alone, Islam is, they would think it was not going to be left, it would not be falling apart. Islam, there would be a ruler, there would be salat, there would be hijab, there was an alcohol. Okay, we don't have the wilayat of Imam Ali. We didn't follow the exact answer or the exact speech of the Holy Prophet, but we still have Islam. So the people of Medina were people of minimal iman. They just wanted the bare minimum. Compared to Lady Fatima, salamullah alayha, that was encouraging everybody for maximum iman. And this is the type that we can see the revolution of Imam Mahdi. His revolution is a type that he wants to bring the best of people. It is a revolution of not just salat and being at the bare minimum. It's about maximizing your faith, having ambition to become great. Because at that time, if you did not follow the wilayat of Imam Ali, and you look at the traditions, that the completion of Iman is with the wilayat of Imam Ali, you will not reach the maximum level. This, for us, is a very important lesson. That if we were in Medina, maybe 1400 years ago, in such a time period like this, if we just wanted the bare minimum, then maybe we wouldn't follow Imam Ali. You would say, okay, that's sufficient following these people that are Muslim and they are following the ahkam, that's sufficient for us. But Fatimiyya teaches us to maximize our faith. Brothers and sisters, we only live once. If you limit yourself to the bare minimum in faith, in the day of judgment, trust me, you will regret. There's a story, they say, one of the scholars mentions, that a group of people were led by a teacher. And that teacher told them, it was nighttime, it was dark. The teacher said, grab whatever you can. And some people didn't listen to their teacher, said, what is he talking about? Some people did listen, they grabbed some things, and some people, they grabbed a lot. The next day came, and they saw, what are those things that they grabbed? And it was actually precious stones, rubies, gems, diamonds. Those that grabbed nothing, they were in regret, because they said, I didn't grab anything. Those that grabbed a little, they say, I wish I grabbed more. Those that even grabbed a lot, they still wish they grabbed more. Because the different being ambitious in terms of the dunya and world, there's no end. And also in spirituality is the same way. In the day of judgment, we wish that we had more. It is Yawmul Hasra. When we see all our actions and we see all the status that the Muslims had, and we see some of our friends and some people in societies that we lived in, we see their status and our status, we say, I wish I was like them. In some of the traditions we have that not everybody sees the Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam in heaven all the time. Some of them have to wait and wait and wait to see, for example, Imam Hussein alayhi salam. But those that live their life like Imam Hussein alayhi salam, they will be present and they will be neighbor of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. So we learn to become maximum Muslims, not to become weak Muslims or Muslims barely pushing, just trying to pass. If you look in studies and in schools, who are the students that usually fail? Those that just want an average grade. Their aim is only to have an average score, a C, they end up getting a D or F. But those that from the beginning they aim to get an A, They'll maybe either get that A or get a B or C. They won't fail at it. Please recite another salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. So one, we said sincerity. Khutbah Fadakiyah is about exposing those that are hypocrites. Two, we see that the time period of Lady Fatima salamullah alayha is a very tough time period. Only Salman, Miqdad, Abu Dhar, Zubayr, a few people followed Lady Fatima. It wasn't like the armies that, for example, in Siffin happened. It wasn't like the armies that happened in the Battle of Jamal. A few people followed Lady Fatima salamullah alayha. One of the scholars that writes about Fadakiyah, Khutbah Fadakiyah, and he mentions and says, after this great speech in addressing the people of Medina, he says that how many people, what was the reaction of the people? And he said, nobody said anything. But he says that another, say a wife of the Holy Prophet, that attacked Imam Ali in the Battle of Jamal, when she spoke, maybe 20,000 people ended up dying in a war. So look at the madlumiyat of the daughter of the Holy Prophet, that she speaks, and she does not even have to give a speech. They should already follow her. He is the last offspring, and they know she is Sayyidatun Nisa. She speaks in such a beautiful way, and people do not. The people of Medina don't follow her. As she says, hypocrisy has come out, and there was a hidden hypocrisy. So sincerity, 1. 2, striving to be a maximum Muslim. 3, we see how difficult it was for Lady Fatima salamullah alayha, which was a woman in Arabia, which was just lost her father, which is pregnant. But what happened that she made all those difficult decisions? What made her Sayyidah Fatima salamullah alayha a legacy, a hero for us? It wasn't as if she just became Sayyidah Fatima right at that time. She was Fatima Zahra as she was a child. When the Prophet of Islam mentions Imam Ali,